This is fucking hilarious.
The two types of Justin that exist, and just those two. But despite these concerns, polls show that Justin is currently leading incumbent Prime Minister Stephen Harper, a man who, thanks to Canada's lack of term limits, has already been in office for almost 10 years. And while Trudeau has been painted as a charismatic pretty boy, no one has ever said either of those things about Stephen Harper. Just watch him try to appear relatable.
Something you might not know about me is that I love movies and TV shows. One of my all-time favorites is Breaking Bad. It's even available on some online streaming services if you've never seen it.
I love movies and TV shows isn't a statement that wins over voters. It's what an alien in disguise as a human tells you while trying to fit in at a dinner party. But don't be deceived by his bland exterior. Where there is banality, there is evil. For instance, Harper's government has passed numerous laws weakening Canada's environmental protections. They've scaled back healthcare for some refugees, which a federal court called cruel and unusual. And Harper himself has taken an extremely strong position on marijuana.
There's just overwhelming and growing scientific and medical evidence about the bad long-term effects of marijuana. We've spent a couple of generations trying to reduce the usage of tobacco in Canada with a lot of success. Tobacco is a product that does a lot of damage. Marijuana is infinitely worse.
Are you high?
You sack of shit.
Marijuana is not worse than tobacco. The only context in which that's true is aesthetics. Look at Paul Newman. Okay. Now look at whatever the fuck this is. Marijuana is infinitely worse in that context and that context alone. But Harper's ugliest tendency is perhaps his pandering to Islamophobes. Earlier this year, his government passed a law called the Zero Tolerance for Barbaric Cultural Practices Act, stiffening penalties for things like honour killing and polygamy, despite the fact both those things were already illegal in Canada. And then a few weeks ago, they suggested a barbaric cultural practices hotline, despite the fact 911 continues to exist in Canada. And this is on top of the fact that they once banned women from wearing the niqab or taking the oath of citizenship, a decision that Harper justified during a French language debate like this.
I would never tell my daughter that a woman should cover her face because she's a woman. I would never say that.
Okay. For a start, if Stephen Harper's daughter is covering her face, it's probably because she understandably does not want to be seen in public with Stephen fucking Harper. But this isn't a debate about his parenting. It's a debate about forbidding one particular religious practice. And to hear from one of the women affected by the ban, she did not appreciate it.
How do you explain to Canadians why it's so important to keep your veil on while taking the oath?
Because the Canadian, I actually chose this country for the reason is it provides me with the freedom of my to practice on my religion as well.
And Canada's federal courts actually agreed with her because she sued Harper's government and won, presumably arguing that if Harper was happy to let Canadians interact with their government dressed like this, she should be allowed to wear whatever the fuck she wants. and if all of that not enough to make you hate Stephen Harper, there's also the fact that he has a band. A terrible, terrible band. That is Stephen Harper murdering Sweet Caroline with his actual band that he chose to call the Van Cats, an apparent play on 24 to represent 24 Sussex, the name of the Prime Minister's residence. So to recap there, Harper's band's name is not just a shitty pun, it's a shitty French pun on the fact that he is Prime Minister of Canada. That is the least rock and roll thing imaginable until you see this photo of Stephen Harper with the lead singer of Nickelback. Look, I know it's hard for Americans to care about this, but think of it this way. Picture your next door neighbour. You may not be great friends with her, but you'd be sad if she started dating a complete and utter dickhead. Well, Canada is America's next-door neighbour, and Stephen Harper is her dickhead boyfriend. You know, the one she won't split up with, despite the fact he tells her what to wear and makes her listen to his shitty, shitty band.
Awesome.
And I would love to tell the people of Canada right now to vote Stephen Harper out of office. Unfortunately, and this is amazing, it's against Canadian law. Specifically, Section 331 of the Canada Elections Act, which states, no person who does not reside in Canada shall induce electors to vote or refrain from voting for a particular candidate. And apparently, anyone found guilty of doing that could be fined up to $5,000, given a 6-month jail term, or both. That is a ridiculous law, and I guess what you're saying, Canada, is you want to dance? Is that what you're saying? Because if you want to dance, Canada, bring your best moves, because it's nearly midnight and Johnny's got his dancing shoes on. You think I'm scared of 6 months in Canadian prison? What's that, 6 months of living in Ottawa? Yes, that's right. Keep yourself warm with that Ottawa burn. And as for your $5,000 fine, I simply can't imagine a better way to spend 5,000 Canadian dollars. But if telling you not to vote for Stephen Harper is going to cost me $5,000, I'm going to get my money's worth. And I'm going to do it in the most Canadian way possible. So please, come with me. Because I'm going to tell you not to vote for Stephen Harper alongside this beaver playing Sweet Caroline on the keyboard, and this moose receiving a colonoscopy under Canada's fantastic single-payer healthcare system. And finally, with the help of one of Canada's finest sons, Mike Myers, dressed as a mountie, riding a snowplow. Yes, it doesn't get more Canadian. It just doesn't get more Canadian than this. I think I have your full attention, Canada. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for doing this. Is there anything you'd like to say at this point?
Yes, there's lots I'd like to say. I love Canada, but the fact that it has a law banning outsiders from telling Canadians how to vote is one of the least Canadian things possible.
Sure.
Oh, and don't vote for Stephen Harper.
Exactly. Don't do it. And I'll tell you why. Stephen Harper doesn't care about black people.
Oh, God. Not again!
Sorry. What I meant to say was, Stephen Harper doesn't care about Muslim people.
Totally fair.
There you go. There you go.
I think you made that pretty clear.
I think it was painful. So please, do not vote for Stephen Harper.
Yeah, don't do it.
Shall we?
No, shall we? Yeah, look at this.
Fuck, I love you, John Oliver.
5,000 Canada. Here's your...
In Canadian dollars.
And now, this.
Fucking awesome.
And now, a student passes out listening to Stephen Harper speak.
In terms of your question, I travel all around the country all the time, meeting people and making announcements.
Don't worry, he was fine, as was this student 3 years earlier.
Obviously don't agree on everything, but he understands that, I think everybody understands that Canada is all the country.
Holy fuck.
And finally tonight, quotations. The karaoke of ideas. Quotations make us sound smart. That's why politicians love throwing them around. In fact, just recently, Ben Carson decided to quote a founding father.
Thomas Jefferson himself said, you know, gun control works great for the people who are law-abiding citizens, and it does nothing for the criminals, and all it does is put the people at risk.
Wow. He wants to be president.
I'm pretty sure Jefferson did not say that. In part because the term gun control wasn't even used in its modern sense until the 1960s. Now, to be fair, the gist of the quote does...
Enjoy, folks. Don't vote for fucking Harper. He's got to go, man. Piece of shit.